We do have a lot of laws and checks and balances and safeguards and audits when it comes to making sure that the NSA and other intelligence agencies are not spying on Americans.
A task force will reportedly call for new limits on how much information the NSA collects and how long it can hang on to that information. The president set up the task force back in August after NSA leaker Ed Snowden released those documents revealing the spy agency's phone and internet surveillance programs. Our senior judicial analyst, Judge Andrew Napolitano. Let's start with this judge's ruling.
Judge Richard Leon, who's an appointee of President George W. Bush, is the first judge to rule on the constitutionality of the NSA spying program in the context of the NSA resisting it. So this isn't the NSA going to a judge alone saying, is this constitutional? This is somebody suing the NSA to stop them from spying. And at the end of this lawsuit, the judge said, the spying is unconstitutional. You can't spy on all 380 million cell phones in the United States because you're looking for a half dozen phone calls without identifying the phone calls. And the evidence you gave to me shows that it doesn't even work. It doesn't even give you the information that you are looking for, and you haven't been able to point to a single terrorist act that you stopped by this spy.
Not one.
Not one. Originally, General Alexander sent under oath 52.
I remember.
Then he mysteriously reduced it to 3. Then he declined to identify the 3. In this case before Judge Leon, they couldn't point to a single one. Now,
absolutely incredible. And you saw the report on 60 Minutes the other night when the NSA trotted its folks out. Whatever. Go on.
Well, the NSA has, to its credit, has done a good job in persuading people that their rights should be sacrificed. Half of America thinks the NSA is keeping us safe and we should let it invade our privacy.
Wow.
Judge Leon, the first judge to look at this in the adversarial context, plaintiffs' lawyers versus government lawyers, has said not so. Now, Shep, in my prior life as a judge, I signed hundreds, maybe thousands of search warrants. If the police came to me and said, hey, Your Honor, out there in zip code 07602, I'm making up the name of the number of the zip code. There are 2 guys talking at about a bank robbery. Can you let us listen to every phone call in that zip code in the hope we'll find those 2? I would have said, get out of here, take a hike. That is basically what the NSA has been doing, except they're not doing it with zip codes, they're doing it with the entire country, and that's what Judge Leon found is a violation of the Fourth Amendment.
And a bunch of changes coming today. We had thought we might get this report by now, but it's going to come out
on your watch.
Presently, sometime in the next few minutes, we believe. But we kind of have an idea of what's going on here, and to say this is a harsh rebuke and huge changes for the NSA might be overstating things from what we know.
Well, look, the NSA works for the president. So the president on his own, without going to Congress, without involving the court, without involving budgetary issues, can dial back what the NSA does. These advisors are 5 people that are advising the president.
Yeah.
We don't know what they're going to recommend. I doubt if it's going to be very, very over the top, because the president and the president's lawyers defended what the NSA has been doing in this case before Judge Leon. They argued that it was constitutional. Will Judge Leon's opinion be enough to change the president's mind? I doubt it.
I have confidence in the fact that the NSA is not engaging in domestic surveillance or snooping around.
A federal judge has some very strong words for the Obama administration. This is the second warning for the White House this week, and it involves 2 different judges. The first judge was a GWB, George W. Bush appointee. The second one is a Bill Clinton appointee. So the president's now taking some incoming from both sides of the aisle on the bench. On Monday, we told you about this federal judge warning that the NSA's domestic spying program will most likely be ruled unconstitutional. And then today, another federal judge smacked down an administration effort to keep secrets about some international development efforts. But here's the interesting thing. Okay, so the district judge here is named Judge Ellen Siegel-Huvel, and she went after this administration, again, a Bill Clinton appointee, saying, and I quote, "The government appears to adopt the cavalier attitude that the president should be permitted to convey orders throughout the executive branch without public oversight, to engage in what is, in effect, governance by secret law." And she had had enough. Joining me now to put this in perspective, Fox News senior judicial analyst Judge Andrew Napolitano. She she seemed ticked off to me when I read this.
Well, you know, I've been watching, and you've been watching, Freedom of Information Act requests for years. The presumption in the government is that we can see everything the government does.
Right.
And if
they
there's
work for us.
Correct. We don't work for them. If there's some legitimate military or national security secret that displaying to the public would harm everybody, the government has to prove why it's a secret. Here, the President of the United States of America signed a document that had to do with international trade, distributed the document to employees of the State Department, and after it was out there, decided it should be made classified.
Too late. The cat's out of the bag.
Exactly.
Either it's classified or it's not classified.
And his lawyers argued to this judge he can classify whatever he wants.
That was the first time any administration had made such a broad claim, the judge said.
And
this is unprecedented.
And it is the first time in the modern era that a federal judge has directly slapped down the President of the United States, saying you can't do this. The quote that you just read is devastating to him. She accused him. Now, she's a judge, but she was appointed by Bill Clinton and was an active Democrat before she was on the bench.
Right.
She accuses a Democratic president of government by secrecy. That's a devastating blow to him. I don't think they're even going to appeal it. I think they're going to, like a dog with its tail between his legs,
they better
admit that they were wrong.
She's saying you are not, you are trying to avoid public oversight to engage in governance by secret law. That's what she's accusing them of, which would be, I mean, that's pretty strong language. This is the first time a federal judge has reversed an order of the president himself when it comes to sealing a document.
Correct.
And the first time a president had tried to claim executive privilege on such a broad basis. She called this almost Orwellian, or at least the earlier judge called this an almost Orwellian move by the administration. What are these judges trying to tell this administration? What do these rulings tell us about what they think?
Out of control. That the administration is accumulating power in the executive branch, not sanctioned by federal law and not permitted by the Constitution. From two different sides of the judicial aisle, from a conservative Republican and a liberal Democrat as judges now.
Yeah, right.
Theoretically, they've shed their politics as judges, but they're human beings and they had a life before they were on the bench.
Yeah.
I'm talking about their prior lives.
Right.
Both saying to the White House, out of control, dial it back.
Yeah.
Both in the same week. They have to appeal the NSA ruling because that will gut 90% of this massive spying.
But this one, it's not so much this document. It's the way they handled it and what they tried to get away with.
The concept and the belief that he can do whatever he wants, which is consistent with his presidency. But it's about time he got smacked down.
Part of what's been interesting about this whole exercise is recognizing that in a virtual world, some of these boundaries don't matter anymore.